Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kentucky Small Business Development Center's weekly webinar. We're glad you're here. As always, we're going to just pause and allow folks to join our room. And while we do that, I'm going to share just a little bit of information about the Kentucky Sbdc. So the Kentucky Sbdc, the main goal is to assist new and growing businesses by providing professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to make sound business decisions. We do this at no cost to you, thanks to the U.S. Small Business Administration. They co-sponsor our program, and then that is then administered by the University of Kentucky, who partners with regional universities, colleges, and local economic development agencies. We're part of a national network, as you see on screen, America's Small Business Development Centers, with over 1,000 centers across the nation. To learn more about us specifically, you can visit our website at kybizhelp.com. There you'll find additional resources to help start, fund, and grow your business. To request personal assistance, you can go ahead and email us at info@kybizhelp.com or go ahead and call 888-475-7232. So a recording of today's webinar will be emailed to you this afternoon. So if you need to step away, if you have any technical issues, don't worry about that. You'll have access to the full replay later this afternoon. I'm Janet Flom with the Louisville Center, which is one of 17 centers throughout the Commonwealth. And with me today, as always, my colleagues from the Louisville Center, David Etkin, our Center Director, and Tony Sears, our Assistant Center Director. So good afternoon, folks.
Hey, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
Hi.
So today we've got a good speaker for us, and don't forget to put some questions in the chat there. You can go ahead and try that out if you would, and just let us know where you're from and where you're watching from. And also, it's we're here in Louisville, and we're getting some sleep. What's the weather like where you are? I'd like to know. We do get people that come from all over the country, and I'm interested in what everybody else's experiences as well. As part of our mission at the Small Business Development Center, we do help people, start businesses and help them manage their business and give them, management consulting advice. And we're often asked about starting nonprofits or people want to have a social mission with their business. And this is, what we're going to talk about today is a way to do that in kind of a new way for us kind of doing good for business, and it's actually good for your business. So if you're out there, if you're a business owner, or like a solopreneur or a professional, there are ways to kind of put your business together where you can actually make a difference in the country and the community, and you can also make a difference in your business by putting this together. And so I've invited our guest today, Ben Smock, who is the development director at Canopy, Kentucky, which is a organization here in Louisville that is working to develop certifications along the B Corp certifications, similar to that. But I'm going to let Ben jump in and kind of explain, why we want to have a social mission, why that's important for your business, and what the future looks like for the. So Ben, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dave, and the team at Sbdc for having me. So to kick us off, I believe Ryan is going to help us out with a video. So we're going to play that, and then I will jump into details of the good business movement and some of the options for us here in Kentucky and beyond.
Integrity, pride, honesty. These are words Kentuckians use to describe a business that takes care of its people and the land. Around the world, consumers and employees are using other words to describe the qualities of a good business: purpose-driven, socially responsible, and transparent. Whatever words you use, you know that the business world is changing. Anymore, it's not enough to make the best product or service. Now, you need to show your customers, clients, and employees that you care, that you share their values, and that you're committed to making lives better.
The Canopy Certified program is a comprehensive online assessment designed to help Kentucky for-profit companies to be more resilient, impactful, and profitable. What sets our certification apart is that we're designed by Kentuckians for Kentucky business owners. We take companies where they are and guide them along a path towards greater good with equal attention towards culture, leadership, governance, and impact. Our certification offers companies of all shapes and sizes the opportunity to continuously improve by providing a simple assessment format, curriculum, and support.
The Canopy Certified program takes a balanced approach to ensure that your company considers all stakeholders. From our research and interviews with leaders in the good business movement, we've developed 30 points of assessment across 4 tracks: external impact, culture, leadership, and governance. With electives to offer continuous improvement, this balanced approach helps you go beyond the score and actively work towards positive impact by operationalizing your good. Once certified, we offer additional badges for your company to distinguish itself in the categories it excels in, like diversity, equity, and inclusion, and health and safety.
Canopy certified companies engage and retain their workforce. They attract talent, they verify vendors, they attract investment, and they show their customers that they're doing more than just talking the talk. They also enjoy the benefits, being part of a community of businesses that is making a positive change in the future of our state.
You're busy and your bottom line is tight. We get it. The Canopy Certified program is your guide to good business.
All right. So I will go ahead and get started here. Appreciate you all sitting through the video there. We recently produced that. So our amazing team members are featured, as is our founder and CEO, Scott Collins. So today, I'm really excited to be speaking with everyone here in regards to this movement that many of you have heard of, that many of you are a part of, and what we're working on at Canopy to create in Kentucky. And it's our intent to be a leader in the good business movement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what exists out there and what Canopy is doing specifically for Kentucky. So a little bit about me. I am the Director of Development with Canopy. I've been there nearly 2 years, and I come by way of Metro United Way here in Louisville. So, you know, a fairly decent understanding of the social and environmental landscape in Louisville and throughout Kentucky, and with a commitment to, really helping Canopy create this premier ecosystem for the future of business. And so my background from an educational standpoint is in business, and much of my career has been in the nonprofit space. And so Canopy represents a really nice convergence of my educational background and what we're building in Kentucky through Canopy as it pertains to good business and economic development. So want to start everything off by discussing this global movement. There has been a lot of focus. You're seeing this in various forms, whether it's from investors, whether it's from an increase in conscious consumerism, the demands, the requests that are made of companies to be more socially and environmentally conscious. There are several ways currently that for-profit businesses can be part of this global movement. They can leverage their for-profit business to be a change for good, for social and environmental good. And so the options that exist currently, there is the Certified B Corporation. This is a nonprofit organization, B Lab, that administers and measures the B Corp certification for businesses around the world. To date, there are about 3,600 certified B Corps across the globe. And this is really the gold standard for the good business movement. It's similar to a LEED certification or something, of that significance, as it pertains to the good business movement. And they track, verify, and really ensure that businesses are legally, committed to not only financial success, but social and environmental success as well. In the United States, there is an opportunity known as the Public Benefit Corporation status. And so this is a legislation that is state by state. Currently, 35 states and the District of Columbia have approved this public benefit corporation legislation, meaning that your business can formalize with the Secretary of State as a PBC. And essentially, it is a way to showcase that your business stands for something good, that the best interest of your corporation is not only in regards to financial success and profitability, but it is in regards to your social commitment, your team members, the communities in which you operate, and the like. And so, the public benefit corporation is a great signal to consumers, investors, and to potential partners that your business is about more than just making money. You want to make an impact. And Kentucky was the 31st state to pass the PBC legislation. Our founder, Scott Collins, and some other wonderful Kentuckians were part of making that happen in 2017. And really, it was a good signal for Kentucky not to be in the bottom 10 of getting that legislation approved. But really, both of these opportunities are about the marriage of people, planet, and profit, right? That there's this triple bottom line. There's this social enterprise approach to running a business that can be inclusive of all stakeholders. That really should be the way. So there are some differences with each of these, right? So the public benefit corporations, there's not an overwhelming amount in Kentucky, I believe 15 or 20. And this is, a formal designation. You file with the Secretary of State. It requires amended articles of incorporation, approval from board of directors, a written statement that is articulating your business's commitment to social and environmental considerations. And there's no assessment required. It basically is a signal to say that your business stands for more than just making a profit, and is a good starting point. But there's no assessment. There's no teeth to it thereafter. The B Corp assessment, on the other hand, is quite rigorous. It's a 200-question assessment of which you need to score at least 80 points to become a certified B Corp. It is rather costly. It takes a rather extensive amount of time to become a B Corp. And really, it is the gold standard, but it's difficult. And many small and mid-sized businesses don't have the resources to pursue the B Corp certification, and also might not benefit in meaningful ways as some of the other companies that are existing B Corps, like Patagonia and Tesla, major global companies that do benefit from this, and they have the resources to make a global impact. And then there's Canopy, and this is where I'm going to be focusing my presentation today. Canopy, as you saw in the video, is a good business. Our organization has created this good business certification that is specific to Kentucky businesses, that is specific to Kentucky's needs, that really represents accessibility and meaningfulness, with a certification that verifies businesses that are doing the right things, celebrates and acknowledges those that are on this path of continuous improvement, and really is an attempt for us to make Kentucky stand out as a premier ecosystem for this good business movement. So Canopy, who we are, our mission is to grow Kentucky businesses to positively impact people, our planet, and our future. When we were starting out, Scott Collins, our founder and CEO, as he was helping pass the PBC legislation and traveling around the state of Kentucky, he was recognizing a challenge, and that nonprofit organizations and local governments, are working incredibly hard to solve social and environmental challenges in Kentucky. We traditionally rank in the lower numbers in national metrics. So 45th in education, 46th in long-term fiscal stability, 49th in mental health. It's not exactly numbers or statistics that we want to hang our hats on. There are many wonderful nonprofit organizations and committed elected officials that are working towards these persistent, deep-rooted challenges, but they need help. And so really, leveraging the for-profit sector to catalyze some of these changes in partnership with nonprofit organization and local government. And really, Kentucky, overall needs a new tool to drive business results, to help businesses thrive. needs a tool to amplify economic development throughout the state, specifically as it pertains to attraction and retention of businesses and of people, and then to really be a catalyst for this positive social and environmental change that we foresee. And so Canopy's solution in our work through education, certification, and connectivity, we are making Kentucky first in the good business movement, meaning that we are the first organization of our kind that is, compiling the good business movement, creating meaningfulness and accessibility on a statewide level that will help businesses, that will help solve social and environmental challenges, and really be this premier ecosystem and a beacon for those that are committed to all stakeholders when they're running a business or thinking about starting their business. And the accessible tool is what's needed. That's what we found with the difference between the public benefit corporation legislation and becoming a B Corp. Canopy is right in the middle. It's kind of like the Goldilocks as a way to put it, that really, something that marries that balance of, doing something that's worthwhile and meaningful, providing tools, and also is not overly rigorous for the majority of industry and business in Kentucky that's small and mid-size. And so the Canopy certification, our work, is the solution for Kentucky. So big picture, what we do at Canopy: we educate, so mostly virtual in 2020 for obvious reasons. We travel the state and speak with consumers, business owners, employees, elected officials, college students, high school students about the importance of the good business movement across the globe, what it means, why investors are thinking this way, why consumers are thinking this way, why business partners are thinking this way. More and more frequently, we have to articulate what this good business movement is and how Kentucky can be an integral part of it. And we certify. So the core product, if you will, of Canopy is the Canopy Certification, which guides Kentucky businesses towards achieving measurable social and environmental good, operating with the highest ethical standards, and taking care of all stakeholders along the way. So I'll go into more detail about the certification itself, but really think of it as the Kentucky Proud seal of approval for good business in our state. We want to create this overwhelming connectivity amongst businesses, nonprofits, job seekers, investors, and more, really creating this hub of social enterprise in Kentucky. So where, no matter where you are, whether you're looking for investors, whether you're looking for employees, whether you're just out of college and looking for meaningful employment, which can be a good paycheck, and also for a business that has a social and environmental element to their work. We want to be this connector. We want to facilitate these important connections throughout the state of Kentucky. Another example of that might be, if you're a brewery in Eastern Kentucky and you care about clean water initiatives, then, through this network, we can create a natural partnership that might be mutually beneficial for the beer company, for the local brewers, for the nonprofit organizations that are doing great work in regards to water sustainability efforts. And, these are the types of things that we want to facilitate and create this connectivity in Kentucky. And then the outcomes of our work, what we're positioned to do and what we foresee as a result of the Canopy certification and our educational network and the connectivity. We want to attract and retain the best talent and existing workforce in Kentucky. We're losing too many college students that are going to the coast, that are going to places with more hospitable environment for this good business movement. So we need to keep our smart folks here, and we need to use that brain power towards running good businesses and solving social and environmental challenges. We ultimately need to increase the number of social enterprises in Kentucky. And when I say social enterprise, I mean businesses that are committed to social and environmental standards and all stakeholders, just as they're committed to making a profit, right? So that's more B Corps, more public benefit corporations, and of course, more Canopy certified companies. This will create this ecosystem that will speak to different audiences, that will create this this picture of Kentucky as first in something really meaningful and really progressive. We need to attract additional investment capital. We need investors like BlackRock Capital and the like to really be looking at Kentucky businesses as potential recipients of investment because they have this heightened commitment to social and environmental efforts in addition to making a profit. This is where trends are leading to in regards to sustainable investing, to impact investing. This is becoming more mainstream, and we need to position our state and businesses in our state to be in better positions to receive investment capital. We need to collect data-informed decisions. Collective impact is important, for the businesses that are going through the Canopy certification and for our state as a whole. When we can say collectively that X number of businesses are donating this much money, spending this much time, making this impact in all these social and environmental areas, that speaks volumes. That speaks to business owners, that speaks to investors, that speaks to job seekers. Really, creating this collective impact is critically important and is going to be a driving force with how we accomplish things like beneficial legislation. Currently, there are no tax incentives for becoming a B Corp or a public benefit corporation, right? But really, there could and should be. If we can create a structure where there are, tax incentives or procurement benefits for companies in Kentucky that are committed to social and environmental considerations, then that really just furthers the differentiation of Kentucky's ecosystem and makes us stand out and makes people think about Kentucky when they're starting their business, when they're when they're looking for a job, when they're thinking of hospitable environments to be in. So this is what we're working towards. So why are we focused on Kentucky? And why does the Canopy certification exist? So the larger movement, this number is outdated actually. So there's more like 3,600 B Corps internationally. There are, as you can see, between 1,300 and 1,500 in the States. And as you would imagine, the most densely populated geographic regions of B Corps exist on the coast, in the Northeast, kind of where you would expect to see this sort of progressive business approach. And in all of the southern states, there's 125, and there are 7 in Kentucky. And the B Corp movement has been around nearly 20 years, and we currently have 7. And so we need to think about an additional tool in the toolbox to helping businesses pursue this good business, to be part of this good business movement and make it accessible. Really, the demand is there, right? And in partnership with Sbdc and other organizations throughout the state, we can target small and mid-sized business because the niche for this certification is really towards the small and mid-sized business sector, that we can guide businesses and owners along this path, regardless of your size. That there should not be any barriers to being part of this good business movement and having the tools at your disposal to know exactly what you need to do, how you can improve continuously over time, and how you can focus. So the demand is there, and if we do this right in Kentucky, it might be a jumping off point for other smaller markets throughout the states and across the globe as well. This slide probably is not going into detail that you all do not know. This is where people are thinking. When we're talking about consumers, there's a heightened focus on utilizing businesses that have ethical practices that they want to tell their friends about, that are sharing it on social media, and really that businesses have this responsibility, to the world and to the communities in which they operate, that they need to be doing more. This is how people are thinking. It definitely is very well represented in younger generations, and these are the generations that are quickly making up the majority of the workforce, the purchasing power, and the global economy. So really, we need to be thinking futuristically about how we position Kentucky to look at these statistics and say, okay, how do we create this in our state? How do we how do we create this structure in Kentucky that that represents what consumers are looking for, what investors are looking for, and the like. And these are some of the voices that we've collected recently. Dr. Nat Irvin, one of my favorite professors at U of L, talking about the importance of people being centrally fixated in the future of good business and the future of Kentucky's economy. Talent is going to be key. People are thinking this way, so we need to attract the right people and retain the right people here in Kentucky. In the bottom left there, Nate Morris. If many of you don't know Nate, it's probably because Rubicon Global, his company, is headquartered out of Atlanta. And Nate's a Kentucky guy from Louisville, and went to UK, and he moved his business to Atlanta when they were getting started for lack of opportunity here in Kentucky, financially speaking, and with just like a less well-known understanding of the global good business movement. And so let's not lose the next Rubicon Global. And now they're one of the most successful B Corps in the world. And so really, creating something here that allows us to not lose the next. And then of course, Encore and Mike Mays, purpose-driven businesses that see the value in this connectivity, and that for-profit businesses can be this driver for change in Kentucky. So now we'll go into a little bit of detail with the Canopy certification itself. This is really a way to help Kentucky businesses operate ethically as best we can, to help solve the social, economic, and environmental challenges that we all know about in Louisville, throughout Kentucky, no matter where you go. And so the Canopy certification provides verification of the company's efforts to treat people well, lead with integrity, positively impact the communities in which they serve. So the principles of the certification itself, we have poured resources into creating the Canopy certification over the last 2.5 years. And what we've landed on is a certification that is an online certification that is simple, it's accessible, it values local centricity, it creates value, and ultimately is customizable based on what your company does, where your interests lie, and where the interests of your employees lie. So in the video, there was a brief example about an elective and focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or safe and healthy at work. If these are things near and dear to your heart as a business owner and with your team, then there's curriculum in the Canopy certification itself that will allow you to customize, earn merit badges, and to be a real leader as it pertains to your good business practices. We look at a balanced approach. It's important that the Canopy certification measure what businesses are doing externally, what they're giving back to the communities in which they operate, how they're showing up for the environment and for people on a larger scale, but also looking internally, how do they treat their team? How do they establish meaningful leadership and governance policies to be the most transparent, ethical, inclusive organization that you can, providing the roadmap to do all of these things. And so these are the tracks that we look at, that we guide businesses to continuously improve upon. The elements of the certification itself, so there's an application. There are minimum requirements to the Canopy certification that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. And then on an ongoing basis, there are yearly requirements, and then the electives, areas in which you can focus and earn merit badges, and to really be a local and global leader as it pertains to some of these areas of focus that your business really cares about. So again, creating a certification that is a continuous improvement model that helps you just gain sophistication over time, that reduces the barriers to entry, and just will consistently create value for the businesses, for their teams, for the community as a whole. So I want to give an example of how this works, why this is important. And so the best example that I can think of, FMS, or Facilities Management Services, is our founder's company. Scott Collins is the president and CEO of FMS PBC. So you can see they're one of the state's PBCs. And in 2001, Scott took over FMS after the untimely death of his father, unfortunately. And Scott at the time was pursuing a PhD in a non-business related degree. So he always says, had he been studying business, he might not have taken over the business, because as you can see here, what they were experiencing was, not exactly very optimistic in terms of the future of FMS. And so they had a crazy turnover, as you can see, and as you would imagine, for an industry, the janitorial service industry, that can have higher turnover just based on the nature of the work. So they had very high turnover. They had a total of 15 clients. 30 employees and zero operating capital, they were losing $100,000 a year. They were, utilizing various credit cards to pay and to be in contact, with those that they were indebted to. And really, they had, I think, about $800,000 in long-term debt. So for the business owners out there, that is not painting a very optimistic picture, and might be a big moment of clarity to, as your business, and thinking about, how am I going to turn this into something successful? Is it even possible? And so what Scott did when he took over the business, he was focused on running it in the way that he knew how, the only way that he knew how, which was focused on people, focused on the environment, doing the ethical things as a leader of this business, and ultimately the results would show. And so at that time, he didn't really have a formal way to do it. He was just kind of intuitively going in this direction. He would have really benefited from something that provided intentionality with how he can go about this. And so over time, he has worked with his employees. He's done surveys of his team. He has developed programs that, are representative of what his team are looking for. It's representative of the environmental footprint that they're making as a janitorial service and cleaning company. And so now their most recent report as of 2020, 70% turnover, which is obviously a significant, increase from 2001, and comparatively with the janitorial service industry is significantly less. So I want to just take a moment to focus on that. And so an example of what he has done, what FMS has done, they did a survey with their teams, with their employees, and asked where they, wanted support, where they thought FMS could focus philanthropically and from a social and environmental perspective. The team came back with, we want support with financial independence, and we want access to healthy food, right? We want support with healthy eating for myself and for the family. And so that led to a couple things. One, a partnership with Metro United Way, LABC, and Louisville Metro government that provides free tax prep services, financial literacy courses based on areas of interest, for team members at FMS. And I remember the first year that got started, and I think there were, 65 employees that participated in this with just tremendous savings, $60,000, $70,000 just in, tax services. And then ultimately they were able to, take part in these classes in partnership with Louisville Metro government and the Office of Community and Resiliency, and really, uplifting, supporting his team based on what they were looking for. And so things like that, when you do things like that in your company, you see a reduction in turnover because you're valued. Employees are valued at this company, and they want to stick around and they want to work because it's meaningful for them to do so. And then obviously that creates less cost with bringing new team members on board and the like. So turnover drastically reduced, number of clients, increasing by the day, because more and more we're seeing that business partners want to find partners with those that have a good product or service, one, but also have shared values, right? And so FMS will go to present a bid at times, and will be one of the highest bidders, but based on the social and environmental programs that they offer for their teams and the work that they do, based on their transparent dealings, like opening up their books and saying like, hey, these are our costs, this is what we charge and why. People appreciate that, and they win bids because of values alignment and because of quality of service. And so now you can see 880 employees, operating capital of $5.6 million. And so Scott and FMS have been featured multiple years now in Real Leaders Magazine top impact companies. So FMS is the first janitorial service B Corp in the world. They were one of the first B Corps in Kentucky. Scott has spoken at global conferences in Egypt and other places in the States. And so really, he's seeing tremendous recognition for the way that he's running this company. The business case works, right? If you do this, it does lead to, support, and it does lead to impact for your team. It does lead to impact for the communities in which you operate. And it also leads to, recognition and business results as a whole. So, that's kind of the picture of Canopy, the genesis, where we've started. To date, we have 50 companies that have signed up to go through the Canopy certification. We are launching in early 2021, and this will be, our coming out party to Kentucky to offer this certification to businesses that want to be recognized for doing good, that are interested in being part of this movement here locally. And to just give you an example of those that are on board, these are the first 6 companies that are going through the program right now. They're providing some feedback to us because the online platform is a newly developed software with a local tech firm, and these 6 companies are helping us work out the kinks, so to speak. And then we have, 50 in total companies that have signed letters of intent to go through this. 5 of the 7 B Corps in Kentucky, which really speak to the importance of the global movement and the local centricity. And really, just a great group of diverse businesses in Kentucky that are committed to being part of this movement. So that's the team right there. That's the small but mighty Canopy team. I'm in the middle there. Scott and Alex on the right were those part of the video. And really, our work is incredibly important right now. We're moving beyond the startup mentality. We have completed the Canopy certification. We've raised a pretty decent amount of money. We have an amazing team. We have an amazing board. We have amazing companies that are ready to begin the certification. And now when we launch, we will start collecting the data. Through the certification, we are going to track and measure the social and environmental impact that these companies are producing. We're also going to be measuring profitability, retention, and other important metrics and culture scores, other important metrics of a business that really lend itself to the business case for us to be able to say that this is the way, that we need to be thinking about business in Kentucky, and that we all need to be thinking about, beyond our state's borders. So that's our team. And then at the end here, of course, contact information for me. We are growing. We are interested in, businesses that want to be a part of it. And of course, as it pertains to the Public Benefit Corporation legislation, the B Corp certification, and Canopy, we can answer questions. If you and your business are interested in participating in some way, learning more, please consider us, experts in this field that can help you. So that concludes my presentation, and I guess now might be the time for Q&A, Dave.
Yes, sir. So if you have any additional questions, kind of type them in the chat there. I think that, I've been kind of, involved with Canopy, a little bit closer and on the periphery here and there, but, as a business owner, the first question you ask is kind of the why, and your business case kind of says that. And I think that as we were talking earlier about Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, one of the largest private equity firms in the world, just basically said that unless you are investing in or you're a socially conscious business, you will be left behind in the future. And it's kind of interesting that working through these practices, that it actually is good business because it makes your company stronger operationally. And I was looking at a statistic earlier that in 2008, when we had our last giant recession, B Corps at that time, on average, grew 50%, as opposed to everybody else that was in the doldrums. And are you seeing that sort of response to other companies that are already going through this process? Do they see these positive effects, and how soon do they see them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dave. And to speak to Larry Fink and the impetus of this open letter to CEOs from him and on behalf of BlackRock Capital, their investment strategy over the next 10 to 15 years, moving from the fringe to the mainstream, right? This has kind of been a niche investment strategy, but based on what we saw with the 2008 recession, and based on a lot of what we're seeing right now with the global pandemic, businesses that are set up to be supporting social and environmental efforts are those that are doing better than others, like right now at this time. They stand to be opening themselves up to investment opportunities from large firms like BlackRock, and also from the consumer purchasing perspective, right? And so I'm sure many of us can think of restaurants or bars that have been part of the movement against racism over the summer, right? And have taken really important stands, and the community has shown up for that. They're like, I want to go to that restaurant because they have this commitment. They're struggling at this time, but they're also really doing important things for the community and for social justice. So this is not always something that shows up in the quarterly returns, right? Sometimes it's difficult to measure, especially as you're getting started. But really, I would encourage everyone to think about the importance of longer tenured returns, right? The longitudinal study is there to suggest that over time, when you're adopting these policies and procedures, it lends itself to increased investment. It lends itself to running an organization that is more mindful and that employees appreciate. And you start to see that showing up in little ways, and then over time, you're like, oh my gosh, how did we get to where we are? From a financial perspective, how did we get to where we are in terms of our employee affinity and scores of culture amongst the team? So, the big investment, from firms like BlackRock and individual investors is moving more mainstream. And this is going beyond corporate social responsibility. If you are, not considering an intentional way to track and measure your social and environmental impact, then I would urge you to do so, because this is where investors are looking, and that sophistication is going to, impact everybody over time. So it really does create an impetus and importance for think about this now.
So if someone out there is, they want to know more, I mean, what would be the first step? I mean, where would they start to make these changes?
Yeah, so, I think really, and selfishly, I might add, starting with Canopy. And the reason, the real reason that Canopy was started was because, when Scott was traveling around the state and trying to articulate to business owners, consumers, and elected officials, why he sees this important, he's using the B Corp rhetoric, right? He's using language that is not overwhelmingly understood. It's not taught in business schools currently, right? Everybody's mostly getting Friedman's version of capitalism, and you are rarely getting the consciousness as part of that. And so, I think to start with Canopy in our team, because we do have information on what it entails to be a PBC and a B Corp, but really, Canopy creates that bridge of meaningfulness and accessibility. We can help you understand how easy it is to get started. And often what we need as business owners is a safe and supportive place without judgment to get started. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what sort of policies and procedures you do or don't have. All that matters is an intent towards forward progress. And that's what we can help with. And our goal, of course, is to generate more Canopy certified companies and B Corps and PBCs. But ultimately, more holistically, we want to see an increased sophistication and mindfulness of running a business that is focused beyond just the profit. That's the ultimate end goal right there, that there's just this complete recoupling of consciousness to capitalism. And it'll help businesses grow, and it'll help the community at the same time.
Yeah, thank you. Tony, there? Got some questions for us?
Yes, I am. So excellent webinar, by the way. Carolyn wanted you to know that, Ben, that this is an excellent webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn.
So Dev wants to know, she says, of Canopy's 4 areas of assessment, what have you found to be the area that needs the most improvement to meet Canopy's standards? And then she says, can you please provide specific tactical examples businesses can begin implementing in that area?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. I will start by saying it might be it might be premature for me to give a really great answer on the 4 assessment tracks and which is most underrepresented at this time. What I will say, when we have the first group of companies going through the Canopy certification in early 2021, we're going to be collecting that data, and we will have a report to show, where some of that focus is needed. My guess is that because we have seen for quite some time this real strategic approach towards social responsibility or corporate philanthropy, rather, donating. I imagine that the external impact side of things, is well represented in terms of companies that, give dollars to nonprofit organizations and give time through volunteerism or advocacy and things like that. I think that will be well represented. I think there is an opportunity to become more sophisticated in that regard with, operationalized partnerships with nonprofit organizations and for-profits, right? And so, as an example, with Scott's company FMS, he has that partnership with United Way, with LABC and Metro Government to provide financial support. Like that right there is amazing. United Way benefits from people going through this program, as does LABC, and FMS benefits because their employees have this amazing viewpoint of their employer because they provide these things to them for free, and so those operationalized partnerships is the next iteration of external impact. I have a feeling that there's work to be done in regards to, governance policies, how we consider the most progressive, inclusive policies, hiring practices, advancement policies and procedures, really just operating your business in the most diverse, equitable, and inclusive way. I think that's something in those documents, those governing documents can tend to become static. And that's something that I think can improve upon over time. And forgive me, I rambled. What was the second question there?
Can you give specific examples or tactical examples businesses can begin implementing in that area that you picked out?
Yeah, sure. So, in the Canopy certification itself, there's a lot, there are many resources to go through, things to be thinking about, making commitment statements, as it pertains to social issues or environmental issues, thinking about how you solicit feedback from your employees, and how you ultimately establish these commitment statements that are representative of your organization and your team. And so, a really tactical thing that is included in the Canopy certification that I would recommend that all, businesses think about, how do you solicit this information from your team? How do you understand what they care about, what they're looking for? And how do you begin to craft impact or commitment statements, missions, if you will, of like what your business is going to do to help find a solution for this, right? So like FMS's social commitment to their employees is to help them financially and with regard to access to healthy food. That's what their commitment is, right? And so I think to think about, how you solicit employee feedback and how you begin to craft organizational policy based on that feedback would be my first bet. And I will say, within the certification, it's set up to provide the path and the resources to tell you exactly what to do, because much of this is new. Many of us would need guidance with this, and that's what it's set up to do.
Thank you. The question, I have two actually from Vanessa. She says, do the Canopy merit badges identify diverse certified businesses? That's the first question. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then she says, do these assessments include a company's supplier diversity goals and initiatives?
Yes, they do. So without going into too much detail, the merit badges, each merit badge rolls up to the electives that you can take in areas, and in each area and with each merit badge, there are points of inquiry. There's things that you should be doing, a diversified supplier base.
I think Ben froze up on us.
Yeah.
All right. Ben, can you hear us? And he was getting to a good spot too. You know, just to backtrack a little bit on what he was talking about. Oh, he's going to log back in. Good. You know, if you think about the FM company and their reduction of their employee turnover and how much money they saved by reducing that. I mean, each time you have to rehire someone to fill a position, I mean, that is a significant cost to your business. And you know, they dropped that turnover rate by over half. I mean, that's money that falls right to the bottom line. I mean, that's a positive impact that can happen very quickly. So I think that you know, focusing on, you know, your internal employee engagement, I think that'd be the place I would start. You know, working through these certifications, but hopefully Ben will join us here in just a second.
Well, Dave, I just wanted to give some last situation. LA Martin says at least he ended on a cool gesture. You know, he had the hand salute.
There you go.
Okay, he says he's back. Ben says he's back, and then he does apologize. There you go.
There you go.
You know, it would not be a Zoom meeting or whatever virtual event without some sort of technical difficulty. So I apologize about that. But anyways, yes. Are there any additional questions that you would like me to touch on?
Let me see. I think you answered the question about the assessments include company supplier diversity goals and initiatives, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. That actually, I think, finishes up the questions in the chat for right now.
Okay. So Ben, you mentioned that you are tracking financial performance of some of the folks that are starting to go through there. Have you collected any data whatsoever, or is this still kind of in the early stages of that?
Yes, it's part of the certification process. So when businesses are getting started with the application phase itself, so part of that is general company data, you know, number of employees, annual revenue, wage equity questions, and things like that. So we're setting the baseline, and then when they report back in regards to, you know, the minimum requirements that they're working on, then we will start to measure the in a longitudinal way. So we're setting the baseline right now.
Okay.
I did have a question pop up in chat. It's the question is, will you have any sort of platform for these businesses to network and give each other preference for proposals and vending?
Yes. Okay, so great question. What we're creating is this unique, one-of-a-kind software solution with our friends at Untitled, so local Louisville tech firm. They're building this custom solution for us. It is a CRM, so, you know, we're a nonprofit, and so our ability to house the data that we need, it will function as that. It also functions as the online certification and user experience that businesses will use. So business owners on here going through the certification, they will access their online portal through this software, and it's you know, a complete representation of the program, where your company's progress is. You can know where you're working, progress, what is, you know, what you haven't started yet, all the elements, and so the complete certification's in there. And then lastly, the network side of things, that is a way for profiles, kind of like a social media for businesses, individuals, investors, consumers, and job seekers, and things like that. And so there will be ways that businesses can, from a B2B perspective, understand, you know, what industry businesses are in, what sort of social and environmental commitments they have, and will kind of function as that referral-based, you know, platform, so where businesses can connect with one another and potentially do business. And the same thing with employees. And so, like, let's say I just graduated from U of L, and I'm looking for a job in finance, and also I'm looking for a job with a financial institution that has a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I can look and see that, oh, XYZ, you know, finance firm has a DE&I merit badge from Canopy. And so like all of these things are represented and it's searchable in that way. So that's what we're building. That's not quite ready yet, but it's an inevitability. And that facilitation of the network is key. So great question. I hope I answered.
Mm-hmm. So we had one additional question. First of all, they said, I do apologize if you did answer this, but is there a cost to the businesses participating in the Canopy certification process?
Yes, there is. And so I will preface this by saying our intent is not to be financially burdensome. Rather, it is a way for Canopy as a nonprofit organization to be financially sustainable through earned revenue as opposed to solely philanthropic revenue. The philanthropic space, the nonprofit space in Louisville is crazy. So I don't have to tell many of you that we need to diversify our revenue as all businesses do. The fee for the Canopy certification is a sliding scale based on annual revenue. It starts at $450 annually and goes up incrementally at intervals of $250,000 in top line revenue. So, we are also working towards the establishment of a scholarship fund that will be specifically or initially for underrepresented founders and business owners. So women business owners, Black-owned business, LGBTQ business owners, veterans, and the like. And so we're working on that. Really, the financial piece, we're working so that is never the reason that somebody would not pursue the Canopy certification.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Ben, I have to ask this question because I'm kind of curious. You've been in, you've had a pretty long career, and you spent the last 2 years with Canopy. Mm-hmm. So is it different working in that organization as opposed to other organizations you've worked for in the past?
It is. So before Canopy, I was working at Metro United Way. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Metro United Way here in Louisville, or your local United Way that exists, throughout Kentucky. And so that's, a long-standing institution and quite a large team here in Louisville. So the difference for me primarily is the feel of the startup life. I mean, we're a nonprofit organization, but we are so in that startup phase, a small team, several of us are part-time. Even Scott is the founder, he's running his business and running Canopy. And so for me, it's been this just total new endeavor in regards to the entrepreneurial grit and spirit that I've had to, adopt as part of my role. I mean, started working at Canopy, and then Scott told me, it's like, hey, we need to go make money, and we need to, generate interest in businesses and go forth and prosper. And so it's been great to be able to craft this strategy. But the entrepreneurial side of it has been exciting and challenging at the same time.
Tony, do we have any other questions?
No, but I did want to tell you that when you said that you will have the network and the preference for proposals and vending bin, you got a big woo yes over here from yeah. So they were very excited to hear that.
I'm glad to hear that. We're in conversations with GE Appliances as an example. We're in conversations with the Cabinet for Economic Development. Really, we need to, and one of our goals is to formalize that. We want to celebrate, acknowledge, and really put forth the businesses that are committing to doing these things. It absolutely should be a point of consideration when you're thinking about business suppliers and things like that. So we're working very hard behind the scenes to make those large partnerships happen, and more to come.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. That's good. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and unless there's any other questions, I think I'll just say that Ben, this has been an awesome presentation. I really enjoyed it, and this is something that I think everybody needs to be aware of, and it's kind of the wave of the future. And I appreciate you sharing everything with us, and tell Ben or tell Scott I said hello, and
will do.
Hope to see him soon. So just to remind everybody, you'll receive an email from us later on today with a copy of the slides and also a replay link where you can watch Ben over and over again. I'm sure you'll want to. And then there's Ben's contact information still on your screen. Please reach out to them and learn more about the good business movement, because it's very important that you do so for the future of your business. So with that, I think we'll call it a day and wish everybody well. Thanks for coming today. And there's Janet. Hello, Janet. See you, Janet.
Just letting everybody know that we're going to be gone for 2 weeks.
Right. Thank you, Janet, for reminding us.
Yeah, the first of the year.
Yeah, so for the next 2 weeks, we're off, and I think we need the rest, don't we?
We do.
And we'll be back on January 6th, same time. So, but thanks for joining us, and goodbye, Tony. Good
Goodbye and happy holidays, everyone.
And goodbye, Janet.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, SBDC, and everyone for having me. I appreciate you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next in January.
All right.